he called and political interference, tell Karen Bass all off, send she away. The arrest is illegal. And they come back to the point where they are talking among the executive leadership team members that Suku does not report to the Commissioner of Police since in happy time, and it continue that Suku reports to an office west of Camp Street and an office northwest of Brickdown Police Station, that they don't report to the Commissioner of Police. And that
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep your conniving money when you've been a corrupt bum. In a biz there be money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a biz there be money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph.
It's the 1st of November. On Tuesdays, there's a protest in front of GCOM calling for a clean voters list. I encourage you all to go out, turn out. I myself expect to be there from around 12:15. Let's go there and continue to call for a clean voters list. I noticed there is a, well, I can't call it a drop dead date, but a date has been announced by which all parties are supposed to submit their symbols to GCOM if they intend to contest the local government elections. I'm encouraging you citizens, start a campaign. And the campaign should be that there must be no elections without a clean voters list. And those of you who are members of political parties, I'm encouraging you to campaign in those political parties that they must not contest any election without a clean voters list. Across this country, across the breadth and width of this country, there must be a national campaign against local government elections without a clean voters list. Again, I cannot emphasize it enough that any political party that chooses to go to the local government elections with this bloated elections list, bloated voters list, will be committing, in my mind, political suicide. Because as old people say, if it's good for breakfast, it's good for dinner. And if you go to the local government elections with this bloated list, then you have no claims against the bloated list being used for the general and regional elections. I am sure the political leadership in this country understands that quite well. But I'm also sure that they would have other people pull their strings against the wishes of Guyanese and against the best interest of Guyanese. The US and the UN and the Commonwealth and all of these international agencies and countries and so on, A, B, C, E, and all the other alphabet letters, they have their agenda. And once they get to achieve their agenda, they set goals. They don't care three heck about Guyanese. They don't care about the fallouts that will result. So long as they get the government of their choice, in this instance the PPP as far as I'm concerned, they're happy. They don't care how the Guyanese citizens are treated by this government. And so it is the Guyanese citizens who must stand up and fight the status quo. And part of fighting the status quo is a clean voters list, so that when you cast your ballot in the elections, your vote will be respected and the elections will be fair and credible. And so you will get a government of your choice. It will not be achieved if we sit back at home and just be bystanders, onlookers. It will not be achieved. It will not be achieved if our leaders, political leaders especially, are playing along to remain in the good books of the ABCE and all the alphabet letters country and international agencies. It can't be in our best interest. It might be in their best interest. Because I'm saying it again and I'm saying it loudly. The likes of David Granger, the likes of Aubrey Norton, the likes of Ramjatan, they do not live it, and perhaps don't understand it, and maybe choose not to identify with it. And that is the sufferation that the ordinary man and woman in this country, particularly the African Guyanese man and woman in this country, are facing. These are folks who don't have to be affected by a congested road. These are folks who don't live off of $70,000 a month. These are folks who don't have to go to the Georgetown Hospital or the neighborhood health center. Because, as we like to say, their bread is well buttered. In some cases, it is buttered on all sides. And so when they accept these nonsensical positions, in the name of reason, they're simply protecting their buttered bread at the expense of the masses. And I'm saying citizens have to put a stop to that at some point in time. If your political representatives are not willing to fight for you and fight for what represents your best interest, and you are not prepared to fight them and fight for it, then can't eat your dinner. Can't eat your dinner. And so I'm saying this morning, let us not only go out in front of GCOM to protest for a clean voters list, but let us start a campaign against any elections being held with a bloated list. Some people might say that it's one and the same. It's not one and the same. It is not one and the same. Because while we are there calling for a clean voters list, you have political leaders who are willing to enter into an election, whether the list is cleaned or not. So one can argue that there's a double standard. They're blowing hot and cold. Clean the voters list, but we will consider contesting the elections even if the list is not clean. Nonsense! We must have absolute positions in this country. Absolute positions we must get. And my absolute this morning is that there must be no elections with a bloated list. No elections. The PPP and ANIL and all of them are talking about constitutional reform. If the Constitution currently prevents the cleaning of the voters list, let it be reformed to allow for cleaning of the voters list. If we gotta wait a month, a year, let us wait. And so the time has come. The time had long come for us to keep our political leaders on their toes, if you call it that. Hold them accountable, hold them responsible, demand from them. First and foremost, the public must be made aware of what the position is. This flip-flopping situation, Cathy, you say the AFC will not contest. Cameron Ramjatan say the AFC will contest. Orbin Norton say the PNC will not contest. Orbin Norton say they will look at the situation. We want absolute from the political leaders in this country. And it's one absolute, quite frankly. We will not contest any election with a bloated list. We will give our support to the reform of the Constitution to allow for the cleaning of the list. That must be the political position of every political leader in this country. Especially if you're in the opposition. Because there's nothing to gain by contesting an election with a bloated list and the PPP rigging machinery in place. They are at a double disadvantage. And if you're saying that sometimes you don't contest the elections, if you don't contest the election, you will lose the municipalities and NDCs that you control by no contest. Have you considered losing them by fraudulent votes? Have you considered losing them by fraudulent votes? Because with the rigging machinery in place and the bloated list, the PPP will have its way. And if it wants to control the municipalities, it will control them. Have you considered that? But then what will your claim be? You partook. You were a part of the game. You lent legitimacy to the game. You gave legitimacy because you participated. Is that what we want? Is that the kind of thinking? Is that the kind of leadership we want? People have to be prepared to struggle for what they want. And if you call yourself leaders, you have to be able to and be prepared to struggle for what the masses want. Quite frankly, y'all know me. I'm always willing to struggle. I always call it for what I see it as. I do not believe that the current crop of political leaders are prepared to struggle enough. I don't think they want to be uncomfortable. I think they are too darn comfortable. And so they're leading people around a mulberry bush. What will you do? What will we do as citizens? Continue to be led around a mulberry bush or call the shots? Robin Robbins is asking me which political leader, all political leaders. The PPP is not willing. As a matter of fact, the biggest opponent to the clearing of the voters list can be found in the PPP. The representatives of GCOM fight every single effort, every single proposal that opposition commissioners make to get the list cleared, to get biometrics in place. Every single proposal is fought and rejected and supported by the rejection supported by Claudette Singh. So Robin Robbins, if you're expecting me to say Aubrey Norton or Cameron Ramjatan or whoever, all political leaders in this country right now must be made to understand that citizens will accept nothing less than a clean voters list. All of them. Black people, African Guyanese, you must call on your African representative organizations, APARTHEID, ACDA, Coffee 250, SAGE, whatever form and shape they take. African Guyanese must make demands of these organizations which claim to represent them to take to the streets. Bring your membership to the streets to demand a clean voters list, because the people who are most disadvantaged by a bloated voters list are African Guyanese. I think the time has come for black people, African Guyanese, to take to the streets a whole long list of issues. African Guyanese make up the majority of the public service. They are stuck at starvation wages. I understand damn. Corrupt and criminal administration, the apartheid government is planning to give them 8% at the end of the year. African Guyanese will be displaced and disadvantaged with the coming of Afghan refugees in this country. The representative organizations should be out there sounding the clarion call, sounding a bell, making it abundantly clear. Some people say pellucidly clear. That we don't want Afghan refugees here. Because we believe it is a political ploy to continue to outnumber and oppress us. You're not hearing the voices of these African representative organizations. So African Guyanese must call them out. I am tired of seeing these ceremonial organizations. Let's go to the Seawall and celebrate the Mafa. With traitorous comrades like Mark Phillips and Raslian Saul among us. Because they support our African cause, they can come and make a public spectacle of themselves. That they're African. And so let us create the environment for them to come to the Mafa and prove that they are African. Let us ask them to prove their Africanness by joining us on the protests in the streets against the continued oppression against African Guyanese and the intent to bring Afghans to further marginalize us. Let us call on them to do that. Until we are willing as a people to call out the politicians, political bigwigs, what you call them. Call out all of these representative organizations. We ain't making sense. Cat gonna eat with dinner. I think the cat is almost 3/4 way eating our dinner. We can choose. Roll over and let the cat eat it all, or get up and defend what's left of it. It's 23 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. I want to hear you register this morning your disgust at the healthcare sector that is still killing our women. Your disgust at the political system that still allows for the marginalization of people and the hosting of elections with a corrupted list. Those are some of the things I wish we will discuss this morning. Caller Live, good morning.
Morning, Kadaki, and morning, Guyana. What I think, Leon Saul, I believe it. His name have definitely revealed himself, and I would urge Guyanese in the diaspora and especially the ones back home, to listen to the program that he's on, which is Voice of the People on Channel 6, about 12 or 1 o'clock on the Saturdays. Call and confront him and let him explain or try to explain what he meant when he says that I got your back. And he just running interference. Let him, put him on blast, as they would say. So this Saturday, about 1 o'clock, at 12:30, 1 o'clock, listen to the program that he's on and call in. They do block numbers that are from overseas, so basically, so I'm asking the local Guyanese population to call in and put him on blast. Now, when it comes to the voters and registering your symbols, I would bet that the APNU, especially the PNC, will put their names to contest the election and then talk about the nuances and all that crap. They are not into the business of a court or policy to not go to the election, and that's why they don't have an answer. They will say one thing and walk it back, in my opinion, based on what they're being told to do. And although we may not want to accept it, we just got to look at Aubrey's stance, Aubrey Norton's stance, from the time he was campaigning, when he got in position, and how he have watered down his stance because he's been listening or being told by the politicals of these ABC countries that
that's all the money that me work for. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. This is all the money that me work for. Money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph, for me.
Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. I guess y'all didn't expect me this early, but you know, early bird catches the worm. I got to be early this morning because I have a date with the court, the Georgetown Magistrates Court. My date is at 8:30, so I'll stay with you here for about half hour up to 7:30 or 7:45, and then I have to hit the road, Jack. And ensure that I'm early for court because, you know, I respect the magistracy. And I have an interest in the magistracy determining, beyond the shadow of a doubt, what is noise nuisance and what is the use of a noisy instrument. I think we need to get some clarity for the police in this country. Right, so y'all don't fret yourself. Morning. I guess by now most of you, if not all of you, are aware of the fact that I was arrested yesterday in front of GCOM for protesting. And using a bullhorn. I will not deny the use of a bullhorn, because it is within my constitutional right to protest. And I think the Constitution also allows me to use a bullhorn. There are certain rules, and those rules have limitations. And they also give guidance. The police will have to prove the case, because y'all know me, I don't plead guilty to anything in court, especially when I am of a firm belief that I'm on the right. The last time I was arrested, in case you don't remember, was in front of the Ministry of Education, where I was calling out prayer the Wailog. Right? I have no fear of that. Thank you for all of those people who called to ensure that I was okay and so on, and gave me words of encouragement and things. There's no need to be sorry for me being arrested for protest. Protest is necessary. Resistance is necessary. It's imbecilic to sit back and watch wrongdoings being perpetrated in your society and choosing to do nothing about it. Right? I saw circulating in the course of the last 2 days or so, that little case study, I like to call them, of the frog in the water. Put a frog in a pot of water, put it on the stove while it's still cool, and the heat continues to change. Right? The heat continues to change. And the frog continues to adjust its body to accommodate the heat. And when the heat becomes too much, and it attempts to jump out of the pot, it finds that it doesn't have enough strength to do that, because it has allowed itself to be, it has used up so much of its energy trying to accommodate and be accommodating. And many of us are guilty of that in this society. Many of us have been adjusting to all of the ills of this society and finding all kinds of things to justify it, why they're doing it, why is not the right time to fight it, and so on. But I'm saying to you that the time is long gone. We should have been fighting since yesterday, as I like to say, to indicate in the past. This fight should have been long started against the ills of this society. We're currently fighting for a clean voters list. But while we are calling for a clean voters list, the politicos and their footstools and stooges and lackeys are talking about local government elections in a matter of 2 or 3 months, 5 at most. And they can continue to do that because there's no serious resistance, at least no visibly serious resistance, against any elections being held with a bloated voters list. I will champion that cause. I will continue to call for clean voters list. I will not be weakened. My arrest is just another step along the way. Many people are saying sorry for your arrest. Quite frankly, I'm not sorry for my arrest. Resistance is necessary. Being arrested might be uncomfortable, but it is expected. And it should not, and it can't be the end of the day. Those of you who are intimidated by the fact that Mr. Amsterdam was arrested, and so anybody could be arrested and you're afraid of being arrested, you're cowardly. You're cowardly. And a coward dies 1,000 deaths. I ain't cussing you, I ain't abusing you, but I'm telling you the fact. That is how the state operate. They put a few under pressure as an example for the others. Remember, in plantation slavery, when the ancestors resisted, they collect a couple of them, cut their head off and put them on stakes and plant them at parade ground. Don't forget that. It wasn't mere barbarism. It was intimidation. That was the intent. When the bad boys were running helter-skelter in this country, they were brandishing heavy artillery to intimidate. The politicians use the state's coercive arm, the police and soldier, to intimidate. They catch you, they lock you up, they give you punitive bails and so on. I'm not going to be daunted. And I'm saying to you citizens, don't be daunted. I grew up here in jail na make for dog. Arrest na make for dog. So long as I have a legitimate concern in this society, I will protest every day. Let them arrest me every day. By God's grace, I will find the station bail and I will be home. And by God's grace, and I know that is a very difficult thing for them to do, find me guilty of their so-called transgressions and fine me. If I'm fined, the fine will be paid. But all of that sacrifice will be a waste if the Guyanese citizens do not stand up for their rights. If the Guyanese citizens do not stand up against this bloated list, if the Guyanese citizens do not stand up against any elections being held with this bloated list, all of the sacrifices would have gone to waste. And so I'm asking you this morning, I'm telling you, decide if you want it to go to waste or if you want a democracy that is truly representative of people's power. I'm going to court 8:30 this morning. Those of you who have the time and you want to come out and show solidarity, turn up. Turn up in your numbers and your placard in front of the magistrate's court. Georgetown Magistrate's Court, I'll be at 8:30. Whether you turn up or not, I will not be daunted. I'll be at the next protest. I will continue to speak my truth. And part of the thing he was talking about was the repression in Guyana and transnational repression. Repression across the borders of Guyana, outside of Guyana, into the US and so on. Can you imagine that? And 2 days later, a citizen, a political activist, is arrested for calling for a clean voters list. What other evidence you want? What else do you want to see that this state, this cabal is a repressive group? Can you imagine? At that very forum, people were talking about the police taking political orders. And 2 days later, an arrested person had to sit in the police station for more than 2 hours because the station sergeant was awaiting instructions as to how to proceed on the matter of bail or the way forward. What more evidence do you want that the police is a political tool of the PPP? Huh? If you're seeing all of these things, what are you waiting for? Do you want to be like the frog? You're waiting until it is going to be too late to challenge them? What are we waiting for? I don't know about you, but I'm not going to sit down and watch this beast grow. I will resist every step of the way. That is what I will do. You can choose to join me. You can choose to be watchers by, but that's a matter for you. Can't dictate your life, but I could choose how to live mine, and I'd rather live it resisting the oppression than be oppressed and watch my children and next generation oppressed. The next generation will be harsh in their criticism and judgment of many of us. A lot of us like to say the ancestors didn't do this and the ancestors didn't. My mother didn't do this and my parents didn't do this and so on. And so they are responsible for my current state. You best recognize the fact that your children will judge you in the same way. Right? Your children will judge you in the same way. So y'all can decide what y'all will do. I know what I will do. I will protest. And I'm encouraging all right-thinking citizens to do the same. Protest. Protest is not a crime. What is criminal is the behavior of the government and the state apparatus. That is criminal. So I'm off to court in a few. Y'all could stay tuned to social media to find out what's happening. That is all a lot of us do. Anyhow, speak my truth. And anybody who is displeased, well, that's on you. As we like to say, you vex with you face. God, I want to tell y'all, this is the best time of the year to protest. Best time of the year. As I like to say, when you think it's peace and safety, it's a sudden destruction. This is the best time of the year. When the PPP and all of their friends and cronies are hit the jackpot from the 8% payout that they will give public servants in the back pay, the 12 months retroactive or whatever, it is the time, the best time to upset the status quo. It is the best time to keep your monies in your pocket. Boycott the system. It is the best time to keep the police busy. Be present in front of every ministry protesting. Protest in the streets of the city. Protest in the streets of the villages. Protest. And the object of your protestations right now should be no elections, none whatsoever, without a clean voters list. There are other issues like, but some people seem to be comfortable with cost of living too. They're just accepting and going about their merry way. But they're grumbling in their homes. They got the children cutting back. Hey, you can't use 2 spoons sugar in the porridge no more instead of the 1 or 2 you were accustomed to. Come on, we can eat 3 square meals a day. If we eat all this bread now, we ain't gonna get none for dinner. So they're tightening the belts and staying quiet. But you know what? Y'all decide what y'all want. Rocky Prasad said, you guys forget this is not the 80s or 90s anymore. I would like you to develop your point. Because these dunces, quite frankly, sometimes they just make a cuss. A lot of dunces come here and they drop a one-liner. But ask them to develop the one-liner and explain themselves. They can't. They can't put a damn sentence together. I think the noise nuisance of Sheriff Street. The Taster's Choice and Lisa's. Nothing was done, but they victimized me for a bullhorn. My point exactly. And so you know you're dealing with the repression of the state. You know you're dealing with an apartheid Guyana. People all through the night with loud and continuous music, and that is what is noise nuisance. Loud and continuous above a certain decibel. Above a certain decibel, loud and continuous. I've sent those videos to Clifton Hicken. I've sent them to Divisional Commander McBean. None has acknowledged, well, Mr. Amsterdam, I received these videos and I'm going to act on them. None. But here I am, being taken to court for use of a bullhorn that is less, the output power is less than half of what the EPA says is permitted recreational volume. But like I said, the police shall prove their case in court. Police generally in this country, when it comes to political activists and so on, the intention in most instances is not, or the arrest in most instances is not because they expect that they can prove their case. It is because the political boss say arrest. Arrest, charge them, waste the time. Get them going to court all the time. Take up the time so they could do less political work. Not me. I will find time to do political work. Keep that in mind. It's 20 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. Like I said, I have grave respect for the courts. I don't want to be late, so I'll just leave you here and go get prepared for my day in court. We can meet each other in front of the court. Right? We can meet each other in front of the court. I love to see you out there in your numbers as a form of protest. Obstruct some traffic and so on. It's what you do when you're fighting a wicked and vindictive system. They're going to tell me I am an instigator. But what? That too, I am prepared to carry that cross. Y'all have a good day. Have a good day. Be safe. Be conscious. Remain conscious. Right? Unlike the Rasta man, I got y'all back. And I believe y'all got me back too. See y'all sometime late in the day. Or definitely tomorrow morning on another program of Buxtonian Morning Time. Those of you who have relatives and friends in Buxton and surrounding communities, tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, that is Thursday at 7 o'clock, go to the Buxton Health Center. The Guyana Medical Mission is in the area. They're going to be at the Buxton Health Center tomorrow morning. From 7, they will start screening and so on. If you've been trying to get medical help locally and, you know, it seems as though they weren't making any sense, you have an international team of doctors who will be at the Buxton Health Center. I understand it's a team of about 50. So you have all kinds of specialists. Just turn out in your numbers. Get your health checks and necessary recommendations. Remember, early board catches the worm. And so the earlier you go, the better it is for you. There necessarily is going to be perhaps a chit system, a number system. I encourage you to go out there and be cooperative and be nice and be orderly. And don't give your community and your family and everybody else a bad name. Just go there and follow the rules, get diagnosed, and get prescribed. Good? Tomorrow, 7 o'clock at the Buxton Health Center. Spread the word to those who are in Buxton and neighboring communities, and spread the word wide and far, because you know some people engage in medical tourism. They travel from afar to go and see the best doctors, so you can help them to get that information. Again, I say goodbye. And Claudette will go. She has to go. She got to go. And we got to get a clean voters list. But ensure you tell your political leaders, don't go to no election. Right? Don't go to no election with a bloated list. That's all I want to say. Goodbye.
There's been some mind game going on here. Coleman taking a lap right in front of Maurice Smith, eyeing him down, moving forward, staring contest, but now it comes down to skill.
And this is where Smith can be dangerous with his kicks.
Coleman said he was going to come straight across the ring. He's now standing off, measuring distance. This favors the striker here.
There goes Coleman, double leg. Headbutts. Right hands by Coleman. Big right hands by Coleman. Can Smith use his quickness?
Smith is in a world of hurt here. He's trying to get his legs up so he can try to push and get distance from Coleman. Coleman keeping him tight. He had a bunch of punches come down there. I'm not sure any of them were super solid, but they all seem to be landing. But now he's slowing it down. He'll start to measure Maurice Smith now and try to gauge distance or clear an arm so he can get a strike in.
And this is where Coleman was essentially born on the mat. He's in his comfort zone here. Smith would have hoped to have gotten off a big kick or a big punch in that early exchange. Coleman just missing with the right hand. And here's where Coleman can use his weight advantage.
Without a doubt. Right now, Smith is not carrying his weight. Now he is. When Coleman comes up on his toes and gets high, like Joe Moreira did, where his belly is literally up by Smith's nose, as opposed to down by his midsection, that's when you're in the full mount. Right now, Coleman is in the guard.
What should Maurice Smith be looking to do from here?
Right now, he's playing the patient game, just what you should in the guard. Wait till you have a position where you can use your feet to push Coleman away or elevate him like that. But when you do that, you allow the wrestler an opportunity to perhaps pass the guard. But Smith able to get his leg back out there. Coleman still finds himself trapped in the guard.
Couple of right hands landed by Smith to the back of Coleman's head. Not much on it from that position, though.
And a lot of composure by Maurice Smith on his back. Striker on his back, not panicking, not getting frustrated, staying cool, calm, and collected, waiting for his opportunity. That's exactly what you need to do in the guard.
Coleman continuing to work. He's only been in 2 battles that went over 5 minutes. One against Gary Goodrich, 7 minutes. One against Don Fry, 11:36. Everything else was fairly quick.
neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me walk for. Money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, and I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph.
Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, are you morning? Welcome to another program of BUXTONIAN Morning Time. How are you doing? It's 18 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour. 18 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour. And we ain't at 500,000 people yet. What y'all doing? Please share the live. Good morning. Good morning. Please share the live. This morning I got we got all kind of things to talk about. But share the life. We got to do better than this, man. What's wrong? What's wrong? Let's do better than what we're doing. Each one, reach one, teach one. Share. Share the life. Please and thanks. How y'all do? I hope y'all had a good yesterday. I hope y'all had a good restful night last night. I sincerely hope that you are rejuvenated and you're ready to confront all that which will confront you, not only today, but in the near future. Please and thanks, do that. This morning we're going to talk about, first and foremost, I'll tell you about my court matter and so on, and then we're going to talk about some other specific things. So let's talk about court. According to one of our good friends in Legal Mind, I was charged using a law that is there since 1955. Can you imagine that? One of them old cantankerous act of colonialism. That is what they used to charge me under. Y'all can imagine that? That's desperation, right? They behave like the Chinese. You ever see them Chinese movie when the now generation Chinese meets up with an older generation Chinese and tell them, you remember, 60 years ago you killed my father, now you will pay. How many of you like Chinese movies? That's the only thing I can imagine these people will do. They charge me under such an old law, 1955. Like David Lane said last night, he's been protesting since he was a little boy. I never heard of people being charged for the use of a bullhorn. Now they will argue that the law says it's a noisy instrument, right? Or the law speaks the noisy instrument. But what was considered a noisy instrument in 1955 certainly can be a noisy instrument or may not be considered a noisy instrument in 2002. So it shows how decadent our law enforcement officials are and how desperate their political masters are. But, you know, I await the day in court because, like I said last evening, and I will continue to say, it's an important matter because it will help us to decide how we move forward with dealing with these things. And before it was even said to me, I was thinking in my mind that dependent on the magistrate's ruling, I am not likely, right? Or let me make it clear. If the magistrate should determine, should declare that I'm guilty of this charge, I'm not likely to let it go just like that. I reserve the right to appeal, and I certainly would want to appeal it. As my legal friends say, it got a possibility of reaching out to this right straight through to the CCJ. Why? Do I have the time to waste? No. Do I believe the laws of this country, the constitutional rights of citizens demand that we have these matters clarified to the highest level? Yes. Because I'm of the firm belief that if in 2022 you're going to tell somebody that a bullhorn which is less than 100 decibels, is considered a noisy instrument and creates noise nuisance, then something has to be wrong with us, quite frankly. Apart from all the definitions of the law and all of that which will be discussed in court, one of the things I will continue to highlight is that the Environmental Protection Agency, in its missive on noise nuisance, basically says that you have 100 decibels, 100 decibels as recreational noise. So if you have any instrument that emits 100 decibel of noise or of sound, according to the EPA, you are in the safe limits. And so I would like to know, or we should want to know, what is considered a noisy instrument according to this law that says if anyone participates in a political meeting or procession and uses a noisy instrument without permission from the police, they will be guilty of the commission of a crime. Note the elements. It must be a procession or a meeting. And if you use a noisy instrument during a procession or a meeting without the permit of the police, you're guilty of committing a crime. In 2022, we would like to know what's the definition of a noisy instrument. And don't come and tell us it's any instrument that is continuously loud. What is loud? When I raise my voice, people say I'm loud. Right? And so these are the things I would really want us to appreciate. And I look forward, honestly, I look forward to the day in court. Then we're going to know if we're really making sense in this country. There are lots of other things that we have to look at to see if we're making sense in this country. I have a story to tell you. By the way, because it is 7 hours 26, it means that the Guyana Medical Mission has started work at the Buxton Health Center. So if there are Buxtonians here listening, or there are folks here listening that have contact with people in Buxton who they know need medical help or suspect might know somebody who needs medical care and so on, encourage them to go there. Go there to the Buxton Health Center. The Guyana Medical Mission is out there. I think they have a total of about 45 medical personnel, doctors and perhaps nurses and ancillary staff and so on. Go there and see how they can best help you with whatever situation you have health-wise. Right? It's a one-off opportunity. Every year they come. Previously they came every year, but because of COVID, they had a 2-year hiatus or so. But they're back here now, and so you should go make use of these services. You don't have to travel overseas. You don't have to go to UK and Canada and the US right now. You have specialists right here, at least for perhaps about 12 hours. Go to make use of these services and their advice and good guidance and so on. Right? Good. Now let me tell you a story. I have to know this family. The father was an enterprising man. Developed a business. But you know, as they say, black man, woman, and money. A lot of them paint us with this stereotype that black man like woman. And naturally, black man got money, you can get enough woman and so. That is what they think, right? He developed this business, this enterprise, very enterprising chap. Nice business. He has children with a couple persons. He has a couple children, as people say, outside children and all of that. he has now passed on. But he has left this thriving business. And each of his children, based on the performance of this business, can get $4 million a year before they take out operating expenses and so on for the business. The eldest child is in charge, and while the eldest child is in charge, more than half of our siblings, or almost half of our siblings, are catching hell. They are dirt poor, can barely make it to eat when the day is finished. But she is overlooking this wealth. And they appealed to an older uncle for her to be fair and assist them. The older uncle suggested to her, he said, listen, I understand that you're the elder, you are responsible, you are in charge of everything, you are keeping this business afloat. The business has operating expenses. Get them $1 million now. Commit to them $1 million a year so that they can live. The woman gave the uncle she mouth, she lip, as we like to say. And those siblings that are from her mother, she's giving them money. Ignoring the others, if they come and beg for money every month or so to get something, she can give them a small piece. But she's consistently giving money to those children who came from her mothers, her, blood siblings. I've been approached for advice. What should they do? I'm the hasty type, you know. I told them I will consider it. I have to think about what to tell them. My first reaction was in my mind, why I don't just broke up the old business so nobody get anything. But of course, that's not the wisest choice. That ain't gonna help any of them. What should they do? I'm asking your advice this morning. What should they do? Y'all help me to help them. What should they do? Good? Use your wisdom. I was looking, the buzz right now is about the World Bank country report. How they see Guyana? Where is Guyana? Now, the reporters pointed out some crucial things. Sometimes I tell y'all I don't hear with that thing. The reporters pointed out some crucial things. I don't know how many of you have seen the report. But the reporter said, among other things, that Guyana is earning a lot of money. Guyana's per capita income is 20,000 US dollars. You know what is per capita? Per capita, when you talk about per capita, basically it's an assessment of how much money each citizen in a country can get from the country's earnings. Right? So based on the World Bank report, somebody's at my gate, man. I don't understand, folks. Give me a minute, folks. I don't know who it is, but give me a minute. Yeah, thank you. I realize my mic is off. Yeah, thanks. Oh, yes. So I was talking to myself just now. I'm sorry. Right. So I'm saying, sometimes I really don't pay attention to the messages. Yeah. So I was saying, listen, according to this World Bank report, every citizen, the per capita income, that is the income per citizen at the time of preparing the report, was 20,000 US dollars. Right? Per capita income is usually checked as income per year. So 20,000 US dollars per year is what every citizen hypothetically earns because of what the country is earning. The report also said that the poverty level income, or the poverty line income, is $5.50 US, which is $1,100. Right? $1,100. So on the far end, technically each citizen is 20,000 US dollars per year rich. But on the other end, when you look at the income level, poverty income of $1,100, 48% of the citizens, almost half of the citizens, are earning below that, are living below that. So in short, more than almost 50% of Guyanese are living below the poverty line. Are you understanding this? That is what the World Bank report is saying. The country is earning enough money for each citizen to be $20,000 per year rich. But currently, they are earning, almost half of them are earning or existing on less than $1,100, less than $550 per day. Now, if you were to calculate $550 per day, let me just make it round. If it's $6 per day, by 300 days, right? You're talking what, $1,800? You're going to tell me it's 365 days. So add $300 to that, $2,100. So the per capita is 20,000, but people are getting just about 10%. More than almost half of your population is living on less than 10% of that per capita income. You understand what's happening? Almost half of the Guyanese population is in abject poverty. Can you live off of $1,100 a day? I can't. And people are singing the praises of this administration for giving pensioners a one-off payment of $28,000. $28,000. People are singing the praises of this administration for giving school grant of $30,000 for a term. 3 months, $1,000 a month, and people are singing the praises of this administration. Are we that ignorant? Are we that dense, functionally illiterate that we cannot see the picture that is being painted for us? Or is it that we are so blinded by race, ethnicity, ethnic preference, apanjat, that we cannot together as a people say to this government, you are doing the wrong thing. We deserve more, give us more, or we will fight for more. I had a quick look at the report this morning, and it's damning. The education level of citizens compared to Latin American countries, we are way below the standard. Healthcare, infant mortality rate is almost double that of other countries in the hemisphere. But we are waxing lyrical about the virtues of this administration. Guyanese need to wake up. We as a people need to wake up. We need to pack our bundles together and confront this administration. I haven't seen anybody attempt to assist me with the answer to that question I asked. What should I tell this family? Nobody has an answer for me? Nobody? What should the Guyanese people do to deal with this current situation that they are living in? Country is flush with oil money. billions of US dollars in the Natural Resource Fund. Instead of some of that money being used to ease the burden of the people, it is being used for shiny projects. A road here, a bridge there, a money strip there, a farm to market road here, doling out of funds to this, a pay field there, a playground there. But no money is being given to the majority of the citizens who are public service workers to increase by way of increased income. Right? If you were to look at an average of a public servant's pay, let's say they earn $100,000 a month. Give them a 20-day work month. Give them a 20-day month. That's $5,000 a day. And Guyanese live on $5,000 a day. Take from that $100,000 the average rent. I'll put it at $40,000. I know it is much more. $60,000 left for food, utility bills, and commute. Can they really manage on that? But here we are, for an entire year, no increase to the public servants. But we're hearing about 8%, a proposed 8%. What do you do? What do you do as a people? Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride? We are hearing of the disappearances of teenagers and children and increasing that. Do you believe it is linked to the level of poverty that people are exposed to? I believe so. Because if there is enough in the home, then nobody can naturally lure me out of the home by offering me the basics. And so the more endemic poverty becomes, the more we're going to face these issues, these social issues of children disappearing, of child prostitution and stuff like that. But what are we doing about it? I have a proposal. I want us to have a day of protest, one single day of protest. I want to call it the cost of living protest. Let's say that 2 weeks from now, we go in front of the Ministry of Finance. 2 weeks from now could be the 17th of October, that's a Thursday. Who is in? Thursday, October 17th, day of protest in front of the Ministry of Finance, starting from 12 o'clock. Cost of living protest. Who is in? Hit me up and let me know. That's what I want to suggest. Can we do it? Are we willing to do it? Are we willing to draw to the eyes of the world our plight? Are we willing to down tools on that day and say Thursday, November 17th, in front of the Finance Ministry, we are going to draw attention to the fact that our citizens, more than half, almost half of them, are forced to live on approximately $1,100 a day. and they can't make it. Almost half of them are living below, are living on an income below $1,100 a day. Yes, November 17th. Who is with me? Talk to me. I'm listening. What did I say? Did I call it wrong month or something? Nevertheless, you got the picture. I'm talking about the 17th of November. Can we do it? Are you willing to do it? I ain't talking about 10 and 12 people. Cost of living is affecting everybody across this country. So this is not political. This is social. This is cost of living we're talking about. Are you willing to join me? Hit me up. Let me know. I'm saying that. Let me know. I need to know. I said earlier in the program, I'm waiting for the ruling of this magistrate on this frivolous charge. But I've already settled in my mind that if it's a ruling against me, I'm not likely to roll over and take it. Who wants to join that fight with me? Start thinking about it. But the 17th of this month, 2 Thursdays from now, who would like to join me? Who will join me? Now, who would like to join me? Who would join me in front of the Ministry of Finance to highlight the plight of the poor in this country? Cost of living, day of protest. Start organizing. If each of you organize 2 persons, 3 persons, I'm sure we can have large enough numbers in front of there. Unless people are not really suffering in this country. Unless people are comfortable with their living wages. Unless people are comfortable with their living conditions. Only y'all could tell me. Only y'all could show that to the world. I can offer a platform to show it to the world. And I'm saying let's do it on the 17th. In front of the Ministry of Finance. So nobody is answering me. Nobody is sharing any suggestion as to what to tell this family. Right? Thank you, Emily. You, as them boys say, Emily is my G. Emily is ride or die. Once I say protest, Emily is there. Thank you. Rhonda, thank you. There are a few others. Once I say protest, I know I will get their support. What about the rest of you? What about the rest of you? Listen, there are those of you who are overseas. Why not sponsor a protester? We know that things tight with them. Let's say they're claiming things tight with them because things tight with them. The World Bank say more than almost half of the population lives below $1,100, below the poverty line. Wants a sponsor protester. Sponsor protester. Call up a family and say, hey, I pay y'all for the day. All y'all go there and protest. I must see you on the protest line before I send the money. How about that? He probably wants to know how the message will reach the average Guyanese. We can do that. I know we can do that. It's called advertisement. There's a cost to it. Let us foot the bill and make it reach every Guyanese. I'm serious. I'm very serious. The message will reach every Guyanese. Listen, I'm the determined type. I don't know how many televisions and radio stations would be willing to carry the message. But there's something called advertisement and we have to advertise. That's how the message gets out. So Savannah Page is saying, give the children the money. I guess this is the family story I'm talking about. She says, give the children the money. Saduraka Malirakiza, well, I hope I get that one right. Say, I mean. Annette Nichols says she's in. Right? Deslin Wilson is saying there's some woman who held the president's hand yesterday in Tocqueville asking him for something. She should be the first in. Did the president give her something? Because if she collects something from the president, maybe she's now happy with handouts. Right? How about that? I am going to do this. It's one of the first thing I can think about. I'll have created a social media ad and I will boost it on social media. That's a start. That's a start, right? Good. And so we can pay to boost our ads on social media. I will see which television station will be willing to carry ads to that nature. But I am serious about a protest in front of the finance ministry on the 17th. I like the cost of living stress that Guyanese are under. Yes, Faye Joseph says she was thinking about that, but if you have to pay Guyanese to stand up for themselves or people to stand up for themselves, well, I don't know. Sometimes you have to help people to help themselves. The numbers are in. The World Bank say, listen, at a minimum living standard of $1,100 a day, almost half of the Guyanese can't manage it. So imagine if the time I'm utilizing to try to scrape to make that $1,100 a day to live, I have to take that time now and protest. It means I will go hungry for that day. I'm just reasoning like that. Right? And so I have an incentive to go there and I like my plight, knowing that somebody will cover me for the day. Or maybe 2 days, depending on how much you offer them. Right? That's all I'm saying. So sometimes we have to help people to help themselves. I am not the one who really believes that people should be paid to protest. I don't believe people should be paid to protest. But given the circumstances, we're talking about poverty, the numbers are in. We know that people are living in dire straits. I believe if we offer them a little support for the day, then they can neglect, quote unquote, their hustle for that day and come and put their presence on the line to show, well, hey, we too are affected. Right? We too are affected. Well, if we go that distance and people don't turn out to show their disgust at the rising cost of living and the government not doing enough, well then, we say they're beyond help. As some people say, 9 prayers can't help them. But if we make the effort, we look to see what the outcome will be. That's all I'm saying. Right? So that's that. It's 2 minutes to 8 o'clock. I found this in my library. Progress in Guyana. Since 2015, Guyana has seen consistent progress in development in all areas of society. This was coalition handbook. Right? This was a coalition handbook. Most likely sometime around 2020, I guess. Definitely after 2015. These are some of the things it highlights. Youth employment and ICT skills training. Over 5,000 new jobs were created, some by self-employment. Youths from the sugar and bauxite belts received oil and gas training. There were many others who were enlisted to be trained. Youth benefited from microfinancing for startup projects and several youth skills training projects. There was a $50 million youth innovation project launched. A national youth policy was submitted to Parliament. I wonder what's happening with that national youth policy. There was a national cultural policy crafted. Guyana, of course, hosted its first youth business summit. Free night classes were established for CXC students. I spoke about that before. Youth leadership, literacy, and numeracy and small business trainings were initiated. And the Small Business Bureau help desk was set up in all the regions. That was how the coalition was addressing youth issues. Or that was a framework within which they were working to address youth issues. What's happening with youth right now? Do you see any structured program for young people except for football, a ground here, a playground here, a playground there, a bacchanal here, a bacchanal there? Right? I don't see it. I don't see it. Let's talk about the education sector, for example, because we were told by the report I just quoted that Guyanese is way behind other Latin American and Caribbean countries when it comes to education. Over a 3-year period, 1,000 teachers were trained. There was much improved access to schools. Through the 3 A's, as they call it: access, attendance, and achievements. So there was improvement in the education sector through access to education, school attendance, and students' achievement. We know access was increased or improved through the provision of boots, bicycles, bags, books, breakfast, etc. Attendance was improved as a result of that also. And achievement was improved because if you're fed and you're comfortable to go to school, it's likely that you're going to produce better results. The schools also benefited, well, I mentioned the 5 B's and plus. Apart from free transportation, hot meals and school feeding programs are extended. The breakfast program at that time was serving 119 schools. I wonder how many it serves now and the quality that they're getting. Right? Dropouts, the number of dropouts was being reduced. Students and teachers were receiving tablets and other ICT materials. More primary schools got ICT labs. ICT is information and communication technology. Right? On the capital side, the coalition renovated and repaired schools in every region. There was a Cato residential school which stood out among those. You know that under the previous PPP government, it was chaos and madness at that school. It was renovated under the coalition. Teenage mothers. There was a program to reintegrate teenage mothers into the education system. Again, I wonder what's happening with that. 6 early childhood development centers were commissioned under the coalition. 6. The new Opportunity Corps, or boys' schools as a lot of us used to call it, had modernized the curriculum. It was more focused on training and prevention of recidivism. And of course, there was the Juvenile Justice Act or Juvenile Justice Bill, which was passed to prevent or to mitigate sending children to juveniles to penal penitentiary-like facilities, but rather trying to work with them for their, what do we call that? Renovation, use of a bad word, but yes, right? Reform, work with them for reform. Reformation rather than penalization. Those were some of the things that were done in the education sector and in the youth sector to address youth issues. Where are our youths right now? Good? Now it's 8:04, and so before I open up the lines, let me tell you this. No, Gary Peters, Freddie never invited me on his talk show. I don't know if I will ever go anyhow. I usually tell people my time is precious, and I don't like to waste it. Freddie has not displayed for me the kind of professionalism that would allow me to go and sit with him to discuss anything. Can't ask and answer your own question, it don't make sense. And shout down your guess, it don't make sense. Good? So let's talk about this situation, this family situation I asked you about. Nobody, or well, many of you didn't offer me any advice. I guess you are saying let the family deal with the stupidness together. Right? Yeah. Let the family deal with the stupidness together. Let us deal with our stupidness together. According to the World Bank report, the per capita income in this country is $20,000 US. How much is $20,000 US? How much is $20,000 US? Y'all did the math yet? How much is $20,000 US? The per capita income in this country at the time of the report you know I'm live on program, right? You want to go live? All right. A breach of protocol. This caller wants to go live. Call in live.
Hey, Sal. Good morning. You make the Duke, you make the Saul, you make the Ainsworth family. You disgrace them. It's a disgrace. You've been in the robbery in the street. The robbery in the street. And I can't really people gold. You bury it in the backyard. When the police come, the police catch you now with the gold. The family had to come and make up the story. You're a disgrace. That's why Burnett gun left you. She didn't Antigua now. She got a new man. Leon Sal, rest yourselves. Get your car now. Have a nice day. Thank you.
This is a personal episode. Listen, here is a disclaimer. This host doesn't associate himself with anything said by this caller, right? This is abuser for Leon Sal. This sounds like a family issue. Bernadette left you and then, well, listen, oh Lord, sometimes y'all just give me some good joke on this program. Anyways, $20,000 US per capita. Each citizen is $4 million. Clive Thomas had recommended that 10% of the oil income be set aside. And each household, not each citizen, each household be given $5,000 per annum for a starter to pull them out of poverty. Right? Everybody, a whole lot of people who never study economics, never manage anything, came out and said Clive Thomas head in the skies, and you know we saying and all kinds of things. But here's the World Bank saying, each citizen, based on the country's income, is valued $4 million. Not each household, you know, each citizen. Clive Thomas recommended $1 million from that $4 million for every household. So can you imagine? What Clive Thomas was asking is for a resident of each household a quarter of what a resident of each household is entitled to or is calculated to value be given back to that household. Is that an unreasonable request? 10 yards in a house, according to the report, that makes that household value $40 million. And Clive Thomas is saying, give the household $1 million. That's 1/40th of what the household is valued. And this government is not giving it to anybody. Well, it's certainly not giving it to every household. It is giving it to some households. Not as a lump sum, $1 million, but it is giving it to some household in tranches. Hey, this quarter we're going to come up with something to give you out $500,000. The next quarter we're going to come up with something to give you out $250,000. And we're going to keep coming up with things to give you out money. And by the end of the year, you either get that $1 million or you surpass that $1 million. While the other sections of the society, the other children of that parent, getting a one-off payment here of $28,000, a one-off payment there of $30,000, a one-off payment of 7% on $100,000, which is about $7,000. Do you recognize that is what is happening? That is a family situation I was explaining to you. They got a big sister named the PPP and DION and Ali and all of them, who's controlling the purse strings of this country, which is a flush with money. That every household can be given $1 million, as recommended by Clive Thomas, because the per capita is $20,000, which is $4 million. People are not being given their just due. Public servants are not being paid fairly. But we sit down. I know if that were a true family situation, fight didn't done, cost didn't done, maybe Arsenal and I want to be done. Because there would have been siblings there who would have been determined that if we can't get our just due, we're going to break up the business. And so you big sister who play your covetous and you're vindictive, not going to get nothing for share. You ain't going to get nothing for control. Because uncle said give we money and you want to give we money, we going to take steps to ensure we get we money. Or you ain't going to get none. Y'all recognize that? sometimes I have to bring it down to the personal so that you get to understand it. And that is why I use these scenarios every now and again. Because I take a bet. If any of you were in a family where your daddy dead and left money, that you're entitled to $4 million a year, and they refuse to give you even $1 million, wire the break. Wire the break. But here we are as a country, here we are as a citizen. As citizens of this country, the per capita income, it means that the income of each citizen is approximated to be $20,000 US, $4 million a year. But people are struggling to survive on $1,100 a day. Right? Even if we put a minimum, the public service minimum wage at $100,000, let's say $1.2 million a month. Right? People are not getting the just due, but we just rack back. Join me on a cost of living protest, their protest, 17th of November in front of the Ministry of Finance. Get the word out there. Start planning for it. Those of you who think you can sponsor family, I'm very serious. Sponsor people to come to the protest. Encourage them. Left work for the day. I'm going to get a day pay. Put your numbers out there to show that you're dissatisfied with what is happening in this country, the management of the resources, and the poverty, salaries and wages that people are getting. 6225933 is the number to call. The lines are opened. The caller don't address Jazzy, what's his name? Don't address what's his name? Leon Saul. I got some voice notes where them Rastafari licking fire upon Leon Saul. So he consider Rasta no more. Can't go wrong them. Right? He consider Rasta no more. Good. So I'm going to start to publicize this thing, and I'm asking you to help to publicize this thing. Hopefully by tomorrow we're going to start to get some flyers to circulate. A day of protest against the cost of living increases in front of the Ministry of Finance. The 17th, Thursday the 17th, from 12 o'clock. Call A Live, good morning.
Yes, good morning to one and all. The PDP and the supporters, they like to claim that we're cynical, that everything happens to be talk about race, right? And they're ducking from the elephant in the room, which is racism. So for their defense, they like to say that we're cynical and we just talk about race every time. But look, this is how racists play it all the time, because it's happening all the time. Everything is about racism in this country. Let's look at the situation with you going out there with a blowhorn and protesting. It's your right to do so. But you would put someone, let's say for instance, you were a dark-skinned brother and you were a WPA supporter, right? And let's say we put the spin the coin here now, and we put someone else, some other political activist, commentator, whatever you want to say. Let's say from the coalition. Let's say it's Kara Duncan or somebody else. They had gone out there. They wouldn't have been arrested and being wrong dealing all these things. I'm not saying that these things certain things don't happen to Sharad, and he's not fighting for the cause because he is. I support him, right? But the thing is that it's all about racism in the way you look. The darker you are, right, and especially when you're supporting a party like a WPA, right? Look at all the programs. Your programs, your Kams TV program get interrupted so many times, and all the other programs that are on Kams TV, like Politics 101, and or even the Mr. Close program that he has on Wednesdays. All those programs get interrupted, whether it's something technical with Facebook or whatever, or they're hackers, right? Trying to disrupt the program. But that is telling me, and this don't happen to the other programs. I'm not saying it should happen to the program because, like I said, the other programs like Sherrod, Benchcap, and all these people, they do a damn good job, right? To fight over the cause, right? So I'm with them too. But I'm just pointing out the difference with a dark-skinned brother and WP as well, right? That is showing me that the biggest threat, or the biggest threat that is perceived by the PEP government is the WPA. They're not trying to fight against somebody, but as soon as the WPA gets someone say something, they have a problem with it. So I would say to the supporters that yes, you should support the other parties in the coalition, but if we want to really get under the skin of this government and get results from this government, get this government to do things for us, we need to support the WPA and support the WPA causes and put our weight behind the WPA and Kams TV and all of the WPA people. Because I think the PEP, they're really, really afraid of the WPA. And all these things with contractors, small contractors getting contracts and all these kind of things, it is because of Kadaki Amsterdam opening his big mouth and talking about it. So like I said, our supporters, the coalition supporters and black people in the whole, they should put the weight behind this platform that we have here, right? Because this platform is doing more for them than anybody, as I think, right? We go to other things we look at as well. With the coalition and the actually I was going to say something, but it kind of slipped my mind, so I'm going to just stick with that for now. But all I'm saying is that I think that we should put our weight behind what Kadaki Amsterdam is calling for all these protests. And because it's working, these people are afraid of radicalism. They're not afraid. They're not afraid of someone sitting there and the opposition leader. I'm not saying the opposition leader is not doing work. He is doing work, right? But we need to support the radical movement. Right, and then things will start working for us. So let us support the WPA and whatever they put forward. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Call and let's talk the thing. Yes, Marcel Roskite, I'm always in high spirits. Nobody gets to wipe the smile off of my face. Y'all can come with a label every day. Give me a new label. I don't mind. I will stand in defense of the people and our rights. Lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. It's Thursday. Look out, later in the day. I'm going to be coming to you live again, showing you what apartheid Guyana looks like from another section of the country. Look out for the alert. Morning, Live. Good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki. Kadaki, I must say, congratulations. I like what I saw there that day out there. You had your dogs out on you. Everybody looking for protect Kadaki. Kadaki, Kadaki. All right. Okay, on this morning topic, what you talking about there? I am saying, if all these things the opposition did, how come no one take it upon themselves to come out and protest if the new government that did not bring back these programs? How could these people sit down and know this program was good for them, educating them, going back to school, looking after their children and all this kind of thing? How could these people sit down like that? Is something in the house or something in the street that all in them are saying, don't go there, don't go there, don't protest, don't protest? What is going on? How can you be sitting down every day and you have this program that you're enlightening people with what is going on, and still nothing is not enlightening them or pushing them when you wake up and you see you don't have food to give your children and other people eating? Okay, the thing is telling them go and thief. Say, no, that is wrong. I'm going to end up in jail and can't see my children. What I want is for the government to give me what belongs to me. When this morning I hear you calling for that money, I need to get my money too. I'm a Guyanese. I need to get my money. So that is the reason why people are on the outside talking for them so them can get the money. I don't understand, and you doing the same thing too. Because it's not nice to know you wake up and can't give your children food, or much less you, the parents, can eat. And you got for that hand out a stretch man. Oh, let me call my friend. My friend gonna bring some potato for me. My friend gonna send a $10,000 for me to buy some food. No, the money is right there. Burnham, as I heard an older person say, Burnham said, left it there. Leave it there. Leave it under there. Let's stay there. Because them thing this cause problem. But now it come up. You now wake up. Forget up. You don't look for the dark night. It's broad daylight. People encouraging you. Come out, protest, peacefully protest. Call the government and let them know. Take all your children, put them on a line up and say, look, we don't got food. We need food to eat. Give us the money, what the government, what the Mr. Thomas say, or what the World Bank is saying now. Better yet, what the World Bank saying. Give me what the World Bank saying. Don't give me what Professor Thomas say. You could give me that later. Give me what the World Bank is saying. Oh, God, people, you wake up. Peacefully protest. And stand up and get what you deserve. Rick Fredberger for that fight to call up everybody. Everybody, sure the video went worldwide. Everybody see it. Yes, people have to come out for stand up. For we fellow Guyanese, to make sure that y'all get what you're supposed to get. And when the government's supposed to change, they need to change it just like America rules and laws. No government going, no thing in changing. Everybody stay to their job. That is a sickness thing. Because of government change, everybody got for them shuffle around, move on from their job and all kind of nonsense. We hear this type of stuff. I never see that. I never hear that. Everybody stays in their job. The government need to change. People need to push. This is what the younger generation need to push. Take proper education. Go online and get, because they say Guyana education does not work nothing. So get online and take other program from other country and uplift yourself. Listen to Kadaki, get some lesson from Kadaki, and there's so much other people out there who are willing to help you guys. So betterment will come to you and you would not live for regret it. You got to thank Kadaki and thank others and Rick Fredberg. Call them up and thank them for what they're doing. or go on the Facebook page and say amen. Thank you, Father. Thank God for giving Rick for the health and strength for the wake up any day come for him to pursue and fight. No, make nobody tell you so what Rick Ford is doing is wrong. It is not wrong. It is right. It's just because maybe certain laws that we don't know that is in the Constitution, but it's supposed to be there. If it's not there, change the rules and change the laws. Dr. Hinds, Kadaki, all the other people them who fighting for us. Come on, man. Wake up every morning. Sometimes you think because people are not there with you guys, you think when people wake up in the morning have to air, say, oh God, people don't get food. Not because people in Buxton, wake up and you forget food, forget your money what the World Bank saying. Come on. It is good for you guys. You could live proper, build proper house.
I have met brothers and sisters who
you
say
build
that
2 and 3 and 4 bedroom house. Get good piece of land and build. And let the land give them for free, please. We don't get money for pay for them land and a little piece of stupid spot. Kadaki, have a blessed day.
Thank you, caller. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Unless you fight for your legacy, you ain't getting nothing. You're gonna get shiny trinkets at Christmas. One bonus payment for joint services. Call it live, good morning. Call it live, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Good morning, listeners. Now, as the previous caller say, right, point out, good point, that the organizing is for the 17th, for the strike.
Yes.
The protest is 17th, all right. As previous caller said that when folks like yourself and Sheriff Duncan and our people who knows law or affiliate with the law, right, that are in position, they get handled, but then they can handle themselves because they put back up themselves, they know the dues, right? But we, the general public, who ain't got that, and got nobody to represent we there, right? What you're doing is great. What Sheriff Duncan doing is great, Rick Ford doing is great. But what I want, right, if you could organize the same Sheriff Duncan, everybody who's doing it, let's start from the opposition, parliamentarians, and get out with you, with the card, so that you will lead from the front and everybody will follow. You understand? Because we know where we got, who know the right, we know we got representatives there. You understand? Like your parents going before you go with your parents, because your parents is there, they know to protect you. You understand? So if those who in the position who come out, you don't get followers because there's someone there to watch over.
Caller.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just try not to get vexed with y'all. What is Sheriff Duncan that I am not? What are the parliamentarians that I am not? What is Aubrey Norton that I am not? No, I'm not trying to belittle anybody. But you're talking about people leading.
Yeah.
Right? Don't I lead?
Yeah, I'm saying you.
Hear me. Hear me out.
Yeah.
Don't I lead? Take, for example, Tuesday. When I was arrested, you know I had options. I could have allowed, as you notice, the protesters to continue to prevent the police from arresting me. But what that would have led to? More people being arrested, perhaps people being injured and so on. Right? The good thing to do then It's to diffuse the situation. Like I said, y'all leave me alone, man. I can go. I will take my arrest. Y'all do y'all thing. Right? Good. When I go there, I don't look out for me. I look out for me, but I also look out for those people who come out there. I have no control over what Sherrod Duncan does, or what Aubrey Norton does, or what the other parliamentarians do. Right? I have control over me and my thought processes. And I'm inviting citizens to come out there and let us highlight the cost of living plight.
Definitely.
I don't believe that they have to wait for Aubrey Norton to commit to the same or Sherrod Duncan to commit to the same. They have to commit to it. Or I would like them to commit, because they don't even have to. It might be in their best interest to commit to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't have to. It might be in their best interest to commit to it.
Yeah.
And so, every time we come here and we try to insist that it got to be Aubrey Norton, it got to be a Sherrod Duncan, basically we are making deities.
No, not that basically that it has to be them. It doesn't have to be them, like I said, right? You go out because you know you're being. The country got to go out. We know that. But the ordinary man who does not know nobody and does not know the large-scale victimization is more precious than you, and then who knows the last or know somebody. And those facts, you can't run from there.
Boss, I don't consider myself as knowing anybody.
No, you are considered nobody, but it is fact that people know you.
I got lawyer's number. If I get arrested, I will use lawyer's number if anybody else gets arrested. And it is known, because it happened in the past. If people get arrested while they're on protest, for the most part, we try to take care of their bail and legal expenses. It's not that we carry people out there and leave them on their own. Right? So let's keep that in mind.
Yes.
That's what I do. Used to say, who call out the dog on the dog.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just God. Everybody got to do it. Look, if Rose apart, then sat down, we want to do, we got to do now. You understand? But like I said, everybody got to do it, but it's a good cause, so we got to come out still. We got to come out for everybody. It is a good cause. Anyway, keep up the good work.
Thank you. 6225933 is the number to call. Something is wrong here. Caller. Caller.
Hello. Yeah.
You're live. Good morning.
You cut off. That's why I didn't know what's going on. Anyway, to the caller just now, when you hear something went to any of the cricket carnival setup or to any of the